Okay. We're waiting on Commissioner Sharp. What? What's wrong with my shoes?
Looks like the box type of.
That's a fashion statement. I'm offended. I'm offended.
Hey, you do I do my wife. She'll come in with shoes like that, and I'll say, you didn't pay full price for those, did you? It's just a half a shoe there.
That's what makes it cute.
Mm-hmm.
Half a shoe.
My wife has a shoe fetish.
Yeah. Don't mess with a girl's shoes.
Nope, that or purses.
Or pocketbooks.
She's gonna sit in her lap. She's gonna keep. You think she's Santa Claus? This ain't Santa Claus. Come on.
Yeah, it was emailed. Will you print off what you sent?
Yes, ma'am.
Yesterday. Okay. Commissioner Bankston, what were you too busy going through all those emails and phone calls?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the resolutions that were emailed to you yesterday?
I don't have a hard copy of them now.
Rich, I need 2 copies.
Thank you.
Okay, while she's getting that, I put together this special committee, and I'm actually chairing it because you all don't really know what we're going to discuss. I had Patricia reach out to you. I appointed Commissioner Bankston, Commissioner Fairbanks, Commissioner Baker, who's not with us today, to serve on the committee, and Commissioner Sharp is an alternate. Commissioner Sharp, you'll be acting in Commissioner Baker's place today. We're going to have a discussion. I'm going to ask that committee members will be the ones that will be speaking and asking questions at the end of the committee meeting. Any other commissioner is welcome to ask any questions. What happened, I had a number of folks, and especially new commissioners, ask and inquire about office space. And you know, if you're meeting with a constituent or needing to meet about any matter, whether it be county as a whole or pertaining to your district solely, that there's not a designated office space for commissioners to use. And so upon looking into that matter a little bit more and talking to the mayor, his staff, finance, the attorney, it was pretty much decided that there is no unused space at this time that can be designated to 9 offices for all of us to have an office. Well, looking into that matter a little further in meeting with finance, it was discovered that really, you know, we have to have meetings from time to time. There's no question about that. An example, this coming Thursday, I have 2 meetings back to back on zoning cases that are coming up in my district. And I'm fortunate enough that I have a real estate office. So what I've been doing is when I have a meeting or something, I just have folks come to my real estate office, and I've never really given any thought or pondered the fact that I'm using my office space that I'm paying the mortgage on and all that. So I got thinking about that and was provided a copy of the resolution. There's been a number of resolutions pertaining to our travel that have been amended through the years. And I think it's the resolution from 2000 that it states that a commissioner can really basically only use office space at a county-owned building or one that is provided to them by the county. So I asked Reuben about that, and I think that means that if we're going to have office space and count it as an expenditure on our travel, it has to be a county-owned building, right?
Yeah, that is
That's right.
practice.
Okay.
Everybody
And I've asked Al and Reuben to be in here just in case there's questions, because I've done it. Upon reading this resolution though, I'll just be honest, I thought we need to have a conversation about, does that need to be changed? Because if we are meeting at our offices and there's no office space available in a county-owned building, what should we be doing if we are meeting in our district at an office? Should we be claiming that as an expenditure? So I wanted to have a discussion, kind of talk about the history of that. In addition, there were some things in here I didn't like that I wanted to just make public, because there's a lot of terminology in here that says that the chairman has to sign off and the chairman has to approve when it comes to travel and things like that. I would like there to be policy in place, whether it be pertaining to office space, whether it be pertaining to cell phone usage, whether it be pertaining to any type of travel, whether it's local or out of town, that there be procedures in place that are very clear to our finance department, because they're the ones that get this request to be reimbursed. They're the ones that get the documentation for the expenditures, and I don't see that. So I'm not willing to sign off or to have it stated in here that falls on the chair the way it is. And I want us just to have a very open discussion of how that should be, what's fair. And I want our finance department to have clear direction going forward on what to be reimbursed and what isn't. And it may require some changes to the current resolution. But I've asked the attorney to be in here to keep us on track, and Al as well, to provide information they may be able to. Some things right off the bat that I think that need to be addressed are office space, phone, utilities, internet, mileage, meals. I guess these are all things that you normally see turned in. Is that correct, Al?
Yes.
Okay. So can we kind of go through each of these so that everybody understands what the policy is currently, and let's have a discussion. And I'm sorry our meeting was so late. If I'd known this, I would have gotten us late. But anyway, as terms of office space, I interpreted that correctly, right? Right now, if we were to turn in, let's say I'm having these two meetings Thursday. I have not been turning in any kind of expenditure for the usage of my office. But knowing that there's not a space available, I would assume that it would be fair for me to turn in some type of wear and tear on my office from having meetings, because I've been doing it I'm going into my 5th year now. The current policy though says it has to be going on building, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's in resolution 1198.
1198.
59A.
Okay.
Where it has the, did y'all have the policy?
Yeah, and that's what I was looking at.
First page of the protocol for the county commissioners.
Yeah, okay, I see that.
So it just says, and that we can't, technically you have to occupy space in a county-owned building, but that's been verbally amended a few times, and so we're not following that policy, and we just need some clarification.
Okay, so the question before this committee is, do we want to leave the policy as it is? Because what that will do as it is, because we're giving clear direction to finance today. If it's left like it is right now, then if Mr. Fairbanks or Commissioner Fairbanks is using his office, or anyone else that has an office and is turning in any type of expenditure, he can't do that because it's on a county-owned building. So my question is, since there's no county space available, what do you all think
I
would
would
be
say
the fair?
take the county part out, where it don't have to be county property.
I tend to think this is a much broader conversation than that, honestly. From our orientation practices, now state sanctioned orientation for county government officials, right? One thing that stood out to me was in the flow chart that the executive branch and the legislative branch were equals. And the thing that stands out most to me in this is the term, I have it right here. I'll give it away. Well, I don't have the quote, but it clearly states that you have to respond to the needs of your constituents. And I feel today's a great example of us being kind of behind the eight ball, not having time to respond. And, office space is a huge issue provided currently. Is this where it is? Right. The county commission shall maintain an office staff of the size and number deemed by the commission to be sufficient to ensure that each commissioner can properly address the concerns and needs of their respective constituents. By the receipt of mail, telephone messages, the scheduling of appointments, right? All commission-related work required to be done by the commission shall be performed by the staff of the commission office as coordinated. Okay, this kind of goes on down. Legislative administrator of the county commission, except where a commissioner has other non-county paid staff available. Now, that's a little cloudy to me, but no commissioner shall have the additional support staff paid by county government. All office personnel of the county commission shall be afforded the same rights and privileges of employment as all other county employees and are not to be expected to give or of their personal time or assets to the benefit of either commissioners or the commission as a whole. That says a lot to me. And with regard to how the state proposed the balance of, I don't know, for lack of a better term, power in county governments, the commission, in my opinion, is operating on extremely limited resources, above and beyond the use of office space. And for that matter, the mayor has $1 million payroll. We don't have that. So I don't know if we want to open this up. Now that we've discussed this particular...
I think we're opening it up a little bit more than what I was going to address. And I'm going to say something selfishly. If we had 9 offices down here, if I could snap my fingers and we had 9 offices down here tomorrow, for District 7, that would not be convenient. For me to drag when there's an issue in my district, and I'm just saying this for selfish purposes, it would be very hard for me to drag my folks down here when they need to talk to me, and I want to be more accessible. So I guess in my thought process, I was hoping we could come up with something very reasonable and fair to all 9 commissioners to address this issue. Now, the flip side of that, I understand with me having a real estate office, that's convenient. I already have an office. Not everybody has that luxury of having the office that they can have a business. So that's why I wanted to meet and kind of have this discussion. But I'm kind of thinking that we all need to be accessible, and it's probably, if we can work out something fair, that we can put in policy that it'd be convenient for us. And that means all 9 commissioners. So that's kind of my thought process going into it. And keep in mind, we've got $12,500. That's what we're talking about for all these expenditures we're discussing.
That's kind of what brought me to this broader conversation. Is
you're saying,
and I don't understand the history of it, right? And so I've requested some information previously of this nature, and maybe this is coming out of left field, but with the idea of balance in county government, my mind went to the payroll at the mayor's office, and then the 9 commission and what payroll may or may not be in this office, and the $900,000 of annual discretionary dollars that were previously available to this office, divvied up amongst the commission. Now we're talking kind of apples and apples. I'm certainly not suggesting that we reinstate discretionary funds as they
You might
have
wanna
been
repeat that
previously.
slide.
I'm certainly not presenting the idea that we should reinstate discretionary funds. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that with the assumption of positive intent of that previous agreement, it seems that those resources may have gone askew over the course of time. And I don't know this to be fact, but this is a large assumption, I gather that. But were those resources originally allocated to create the ability for a commissioner, a commission as a whole, to function more efficiently, i.e. as the executive branch does currently?
And the answer to that, correct me if I'm wrong, those discretionary funds, no. Those discretionary funds were used to just give away. We never, of the $100,000, we never used, I think
For
he said,
expenses.
for expenses or
Right.
for us, that was all given to the community.
It was never used for.
So it was never used, kind of what you're getting at of balancing some of our money that we have, balancing it with the the mayor's office executive thing and stuff.
Sure.
That wasn't those.
That wasn't the intent.
Used for that. No.
Okay.
That was strictly money that was put out into our, and y'all you
That's
can chime in better than us. That's money that went out. It was not used for a commission at all. The $100,000.
And I want to make sure that I'm clear here. I'm not suggesting for use for the commissioner, but used by the commissioner for the benefit of said commissioner's constituency.
Right. And it never was.
Right, that's correct.
The rule
never was used for anything other than to be distributed to 501c3s, etc.
And the only part that was the, and it's changed over time, but what we have now, the 12.5. That's the only thing used for what Commissioner Sharp was talking about.
Correct.
Expenses
It
we
started
incurred by
out,
doing the job.
the 12.5 started out for just local travel and out-of-town travel, and then one of the resolutions amended that they can also use it for discretionary purposes. Just for 12.5.
Okay.
No, I mean, I am for now, I believe. That's enlightening, right? I didn't know that previously.
Okay, and those are good questions. And there is a lot of history. I found that when I came on the commission, there's a lot of history. And that's the challenge of being newer, at least for me. And it's just like this resolution, I mean, it's been amended. And we're talking about doing that again today.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a point just on the first item. That's what we're
Sure.
in that
Yeah, the
office
office
space.
space.
I agree with Mr. Langston. I think the county thing ought to be taken out. The reason I'm saying that, it defeats the purpose. Just like, I'm kind of like he is, and somewhat like you are. I'm up in Saudi Daisy. If a person says, hey, I need to see you about something like that, I'm not going to say, okay, meet me downtown. They're going to come down, park and stuff. It's unrealistic
Can be accepted.
to say that we're not accessible at all. So I would like to see, like Commissioner Bankston said, I would like to see under office space that it fit. And let me remind you here, we're not creating, by doing that, saying we can have some office space in our district, we're not creating extra expense. Like you said, it comes out of what we're allocated now. So I don't like saying that we have to go down here. I would like for it to say that out of that expense money,
We can claim office.
that we could have some type of office space. Now, and then whether you want to put restrictions on that or what, I mean.
And if you went out and paid rent for $500 a month, once you reach $12,500,
If you use all your money for rent, you don't have money for a cell phone or something.
Okay, well, Tom, we're thinking about that. I like to keep things simple and black and white with not a lot of gray area. If we say, okay, well, we're gonna take county out and commissioners can claim office space, as a monthly expenditure, do we separate utilities, internet, those kind of things, or do we just say it's all in that office space? I think it should all be one expense office space, we provide the documentation they need for their records, and it's one expense. I don't think we should be dividing it up. And here's my water bill, here's my electric bill.
Yeah, I agree.
I personally can't. Yeah.
I guess I would just question, all right, now, if you throw it all in as in one lump sum, I gotta have documentation.
Right.
What are you gonna give me? You're gonna give me
Well, quote,
utility bills?
give us some examples of what you need, like if
He needs to-
I pay
he
a
needs-
mortgage at my
he
office,
needs
so if
what he's paying for.
if I
Yeah.
were to use my real estate office, I pay a mortgage every month. So what would you need, my mortgage bill?
Well, what
As
about
a
your
whole
utilities and things like that? We just need a reasonable, I don't know.
So what I'm hearing you say, do you think we need to designate an amount per month as a cap? Or
I'm
what are
not
you
really
thinking?
saying, I'm just saying if you're gonna throw in utilities and everything, there's gotta be an allocation.
You're right.
Because you're not gonna get reimbursed for 100% of your mortgage bill. Kinda need to think about that before we decide, you know, what would be appropriate documentation.
And what would be a fair amount, I think?
Yeah.
And what is a fair resolution to go with the office space?
See, that's my problem with putting an amount on there, is some of us that have office space, we could allocate 20% or something like that. Somebody like, and I'll take him for example, Commissioner Sharp, he's liable, his is higher than mine, he don't have a space. So he might have to get a space. Well, his is gonna be a lot higher than mine, because I already have one that I can allocate some to, he doesn't. So I think that's the problem with us saying, hey, let's go with this
Yeah,
policy here,
I
but
agree
capping
with you.
it.
I agree with you.
Say if you said, just an example,
Well,
say
it's
if you
capped at
say,
12.5. I mean, it's capped at
The
12.5.
total.
I mean, once the 12.5 is gone, it's gone.
that's why I think the cap would come in play. Like you said, if it's 12.5 and Commissioner Sharp wants to spend $1,000 a month for rent, you know, that's 12,000 a year. So he has $500. I'm just using exact, but that's $500 for cell phone and stuff. So I think our cap, which brings up another question.
We only have 3,000 now anyway, so go ahead.
Well, I just will be honest with you, looking into this, I'm almost thinking, I'm taking the beat. So, you know,
Well,
but
Well,
I
the way
mean, it's
this is
part of
set up,
serving.
it's clearly
part of
drawn
serving.
up to facilitate the functional needs of a independently wealthy commissioner, you know. I mean, it is. To have.
You hadn't been on here long, you found out what the rest of us found out.
Well, you know, and I just wanted to point out, you know, that it mentions that you can't have a county employee, but if you have somebody that you want to pay to work for you, to do county business, then you can do that. But it's gotta come out of your pocket. So that's interesting to me. I'm learning here.
So let me ask you this. Does everybody agree that a change that needs to be made to the resolution is taking out the word county owned?
It has to be at the county. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Then we want to make that change. I guess that if someone wanted to go out and rent a space, as long as they can provide proof, a record of that, if they chose to, count utility and water, as long as it's used solely for that.
Preferably the same dollar amount every month, because we're getting bills where
Yeah,
we're spending quite a bit of
Dollar
time
amount can be put on this stuff.
We're looking to get documents.
Well,
And if y'all wanted to approve, you know, I don't care, it can be a different amount for each one, because it's a good point, that your rent might be more than yours and so forth, and.
What would you do, I have a room in my house that I made an office out of it, and I have all my county stuff that I work on in there.
Does your constituents come there?
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to meet them.
You know, they're not coming down here 30 miles away.
No, mine don't do
So,
If it was a private business, it would be a.
I can't do, what
you
would
can't.
I do a percentage of that? So, that's a percentage. You know, I just feel, you know,
That's what's so
everything, but I don't
challenging.
have,
Yeah.
don't have the mortgage, so.
I would say, I don't know how you come up with a fair rental value, but that's what I would say. I would assume the Realtors Association would give you a fair square foot
Well, he could
rental
take
value.
his tax assessment and see what his house is worth and figure out what the mortgage would be on that house and figure out what percentage is used for county business.
But I think what we're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, what we're saying, Madam Chairman, we're saying, take the county out, we are allowed to do office space within the 12.5, and then financing it, once if we approve that, then finance is one that tells us, here's the documentation I have to have for you to be reimbursed. I mean, that's not part of the resolution, the documentation. It's just, he tells us, here's what I wanna see before I reimburse you.
Well, and
Or
it
it's
makes it be
12.5.
clear. That makes
Yeah.
it be clear.
Yeah.
Like, it's different, if I have a mortgage, if Commissioner Fairbanks rents his office space, I mean, you're gonna make this go different documentation for the city. If Commissioner Sharp goes out and rents space.
At least one time, you know, we don't need that documentation every month if it stays the same, but if it changes.
Well, mine would be a set amount.
Yeah.
So it would be very, and I wouldn't be turning in and trying to decipher between my electricity, my water and all that, I can't.
No, you can't,
You
I wouldn't
know,
believe
I can't
it.
read the water meter every time somebody goes and uses my bathroom.
Perhaps we can just throw this out as a thought, I don't even know if it's a good one, perhaps we could have some kind of, lease agreement that everybody, that the commission signs that sets the rent and so forth, maybe something like that, it would just be great.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna follow him, it's a thought, but it may not be a good one, but, so like, for me, I'm probably, my situation is a little bit unique here. But my district being solely city, is there an opportunity if the county doesn't have any space, that we enter an agreement with the city may have space? Whereas if all my district is city, my constituents would probably be easier for them to come to a location or building that the city has. Because my concern, and then I guess my other question is travel. When we talk about the 12.5, travel to whether it's your private business or anywhere in Hamilton County, is that reimbursed? Like, it doesn't have to be at a Hamilton County
Any
building.
travel is reimbursed.
Your mileage, yes.
Your mileage,
We-
okay.
we
Yes,
follow
yes, and
the
I've got
IRS
that on here too,
regulations.
discuss.
We follow IRS
But
guidelines there.
it's not just any travel, it's gotta be.
County.
Commission related.
Commission related, right, that's what I'm referring to, yeah,
And they
You
just,
do
yeah.
need to count that.
yeah.
And it's, you know, meals and things like that, but we want the name of the person you're meeting with and kind of just a real, we follow the IRS regulations on that kind of stuff, and we will reimburse based on IRS, mileage reimbursement.
I mean, I brought that up just because, you know,
No,
my
you're right.
district is city, and even if we keep it at the 12.5, we use the whole 12.5 for this purpose too. I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm not in real estate, but how realistic is for me to go out and find an office space where I can even, you know, afford myself and then get a percentage covered by, out of that 12.5, like that, I
don't know if you all know anyone that owns an office that would rent you some space within their office. Like a friend?
You want to also realize the city commissioner that serves some of your same districts doesn't have an office
True.
outside.
True.
So, you
Yeah,
know,
that's, yeah,
trying to get.
yeah. And that's why I said it might not be a good idea, but I just
Of
thought.
course, you
Good luck
know,
with
this
getting
is,
the city
this
to
office
do
is always.
That's exactly why I didn't want to talk, because I'm assuming you and Commissioner Sharp and stuff, if y'all have to come up with something, it's gonna be a lot more than ours would, because we're taking a small percentage. I mean, if I just give you an example, if I took a small percentage and mine was $200 a month, you know, you're not gonna get a place for $200. So if we go in here, my opinion, if we go in here and say, yeah, we can do this, but we limit it to $400 a month, y'all cannot get a space.
I wonder though, if you know anyone that has a space, like, I mean, Brenda
I've
has
been
an office
looking.
space, but they
Yeah,
would rent
From
you a
day
space.
one, the struggle is real, and Commissioner Fairbanks is right. You're really not going to find a space for $400 a month.
I know you're not. You're
Particularly in my district.
I know
You
you're not.
basically gotta rule out churches and you gotta rule out recreational centers because they're city and churches are religious and they have
Right.
the policies.
Right.
You get two sources of golf.
Okay, Madam Chairman, what do we need to do as far, I think the cleanup is from
Well, for
finance.
Tuesday, we need to take out county money.
Then what do we
Mr.
say,
Attorney,
Mr.
we're
Attorney?
counting on you to make those changes.
I'm thinking of,
But what do we say on that first one says office space? We take out almost the whole paragraph talking about county. So if we take that out, what goes under the heading office space?
I'm waiting on y'all to tell me.
Office space is reimbursed through our monthly, is that what we're talking about? Office space